listening to the people, and I commend this bill to the House.
This is a split call, 5 minutes.
Yes,
Darian Fenton.
Mr Speaker, what is evil is Maggie Barry, in her usual scathing way, dismissing questions about what is going to happen on the North Shore. What she hasn't answered, and her party has not answered, and what she will need to answer to her constituents on the North Shore, is whether the vast amount of council and local board funding will continue for arts and culture centres in her electorate. Will they be safe? Will there be money for flower gardens and events and debt? Well, she says there will be. Can the member guarantee that? Will there be sculpture on the shore? Will there be sculpture on the shore? What about the art house? Now, what happens to that? That's council funded. What happens to the art house? What happens to the Michael King Writers' Centre? Maggie Barry needs to tell the truth. Will Devonport's heritage be protected? Will the lake house be secure? These are legitimate questions that people in her electorate have been asking me, because she's been out there bullying them, telling them that the government knows best. Sam Lotu Inga and Alfred Nara turned up to the North Shore Pacifica last week. Another festival with funding help from the local board. Now, will it go ahead next year? I've been to the North Shore Pacifica every year since it began 6 years ago. Will it be able to go ahead if the local board can't help fund it, if it's not allowed to? Because Nick Smith says from Wellington it's not a priority. Will Jonathan Coleman still be able to come to the Chinese New Year and moon festivals at North Coast Central and sit on the stage like he does every year, even though his government doesn't believe that councils should be involved in the cultural well-being of communities? Who's going to pay for the citizenship ceremonies that they front up to? Who's going to pay for the Anzac Day ceremonies? Are they priorities for councils? Do they come before local infrastructure, which the government has forced local councils to pay for? We don't know. Should the local board give funding to the North Cape Point Community Creche, for example? See, Jonathan Coleman says yes, and he has a special interest in that. I think he should be a little bit concerned about that. The North Shore Facilities Trust, run by Jill Nerney, who received a QSM last year, is council funded, and it fits under the 4 well-beings. How safe is the work they do? What do? They organise events, they do education, they do crime prevention, they have MSD contracts for strengthening families that is run out of their council-funded building. All of her work and all of the work that I've listed helps save ratepayers and taxpayers money, because it makes our communities great places to live and work in. And it ensures our local councils, our local areas are vibrant, socially inclusive and active. But the biggest lie around this bill is that the 4 well-beings are costly. There is no evidence of that. The evidence doesn't stack up. Rates are still going to go up. And communities will lose their hearts and soul. So what this bill is, as we all know, is another Nick Smith manufactured crisis. So his agenda that he's managed to convince the rest of the government is a good idea. The minister who succeeded him has not been seen anywhere near this bill. He hasn't participated in any of the debates. He's been lazy. He's just picked up the work that Nick Smith did. He's just picked it up and gone along with it because he can't be bothered listening to what people said. I think the saddest thing about this bill, Mr Speaker, is that the government hasn't listened. 78 councils, all 78 councils throughout New Zealand oppose this bill. Nearly 500 submissions, the majority were overwhelmingly in opposition to this bill. This bill, I cannot express my disappointment enough, but I'm not surprised, and the descriptions that have been given about the government's determination to destroy this part of our democracy have been many and varied, but for me, it is just a demonstration of how this government has become arrogant, smug and know it all. And people in our communities will end up paying for it.
Denise Roche.
Sir?